All right, let's dive in. If you're learning German, you have definitely run into what feels like the final boss of grammar, those irregular verbs. But don't worry, in this explainer, we are going to crack the code on them together. You know that feeling, right? Your head is spinning just looking at all those conjugation tables. You spend hours trying to memorize these long lists, and then, poof, they're gone the next day.
I totally get it. Looking at a massive list like this, it feels impossible. But what if I told you that trying to memorize everything is actually the wrong way to do it? Yeah, there's a much, much smarter way to tackle this.
Okay, so first, let's just understand what we're up against. These verbs are called irregular for a reason. They just love to break the rules. A little fun fact, a lot of them are irregular because they're some of the oldest verbs in the German language. Kind of like linguistic fossils from a time before grammar got so, regular. It might feel like they were designed just to make your life harder, but here's the big twist. They are, without a doubt, some of the most common and most essential verbs you will ever use. You literally can't have a basic conversation without them. I mean, just look at this list for a second. To be, to speak, to go, to see, to eat. These are not fancy, obscure words. These are the absolute building blocks of talking to another human being. So mastering them, it's completely non-negotiable if you want to get fluent. So if we can't rely on the standard rules, what are we supposed to do? Well, this is where we become language detectives. We start looking for the hidden patterns inside all that chaos. Listen, if you only take one thing away from this whole explainer, let it be this. You have to shift your mindset. Stop trying to just memorize everything. Start looking for and recognizing patterns. It is an absolute game changer. It might look like a totally random mess of exceptions, but it's not. Not really. So many of these verbs actually change in predictable ways. The trick is to learn them in groups that share the exact same changes. Okay, let's start with a classic example, the verb fahren, which means to drive. In the present tense, when you're saying he, she, or it, that a sound changes to an sound. So fahren becomes fährt. Simple enough, right? Now, watch this. Let's add another verb, tragen, to carry or to wear. And look at that. It does the exact same thing. Tragen becomes trägt. See? We're starting to find a pattern here. And this is where the power of grouping really shines. Let's add waschen to wash. You guessed it. It becomes wäscht. You see what we just did? Instead of memorizing 3 totally separate verbs, you've learned one simple rule. For this group, a becomes e. Now that is so much more efficient. Now let's see how we can build on this as we add another really powerful tool to our verb toolkit. Now this next pattern, it looks a little tricky at first, I'll admit, but I promise it's incredibly logical once you see what's going on. Welcome to the wonderful world of separable prefix verbs. The name pretty much says it all. You've got a verb with a little piece at the front, we call that the prefix, and in a lot of simple sentences, that prefix literally breaks off and gets sent to the very end of the line. So let's look at abfahren, which means to depart. In a sentence like, the bus departs at 9:12, the main part of the verb, fährt, stays right where it belongs. But that little prefix, ab, gets kicked all the way to the end of the sentence. Okay, now let's check out the past tense with ankommen, which means to arrive. In the question, when did you arrive, you have to form the past participle. And what's really cool here is how the ga that signals the past tense gets sandwiched right in the middle, angekommen. Let's do one more, just to lock it in. Aufstehen, to get up. Today, I got up at 11. And there it is again, that same exact structure, aufgestanden. Once you see this pattern, believe me, you are going to start spotting it everywhere. So we've found the patterns, we've seen them in action. But how do you make this knowledge actually permanent? Well, it all comes down to practice, but a very specific kind of practice. The key is to do a simple daily exercise. Don't try to learn 50 verbs at once. It's just not going to work. Pick a small group, maybe 5 verbs, that all follow the same pattern. Learn their 3 core forms. And then, this is the most critical part, use one of them in a sentence that you create. And then say it out loud. This makes the learning active, not passive. So you could take a sentence like this one, using the verb sehen, to see. This is a real, useful question you might actually ask someone. Practice it. Then change the movie to the book or my keys. You have to make the language your own. And this, right here, is why all of this matters. Don't think of these as just boring words on a list. Every single irregular verb you master isn't just a grammar point you've checked off. No, it's a key that unlocks dozens of new conversations and new thoughts that you can finally express.
So let's put this into action right now. Forget that overwhelming, endless list. Just pick one pattern, one small group of verbs, and start today. Your future fluent self is going to thank you for it. So, which one is it going to be?